Did you record?
No, not yet.
Hey, well, welcome to the final targeted podcast of the year. I am Zahid. We got Omar, we got Nicholas here. We're going to be discussing 2020 and how amazing of a year it is.
Right.
Online. Yeah, no, it sucked. I'm live in my dorm room, as Nicholas' wife would say. So let's get into this overview of 2020 and what this mess of a year it is, and just how I can't wait to just bury this a motherfucker. You know, just bury it. Don't care. All right, Omar.
Just let it out, man. It's all right. You're live. Let it out.
No, I'm just live.
Well, I got a bit of a longer piece, so before I do that, actually, Nicholas, I don't know if you had any words you want to share.
No.
Before we dive right in. All right.
No. Yeah.
All right, because I'm gonna be talking for a while.
Nicholas had a shot of Henny before this came on, so you know.
This is a cup of water. All right, it might be a solo cup, but it's still water. It's water.
Whatever.
Where's that pong ball?
I don't know anything about that. You don't know nothing about that, Andy.
All right, so
Look up my ass.
So yeah, thanks to Heat for introing us. I think we talked a lot about COVID. We're at what, like episode 8 now. It's crazy, time flies by. 2020 was a really weird year, and for it, looking back, it's like this is the one New Year's that I'm not gonna be looking. Actually, I'm gonna rephrase that before I say what I was about to say. I'm gonna be really happy to get into the new year. This is, I think, the first time I'm really happy to just get over with 2020. As I'm sure, I think everyone watching this could agree. If you don't agree, then you're probably one of those like 1%ers that like benefited. But I digress. So.
Fish up the water. That's what you are.
You took notes for this session, right? Is that this part of the script, or
this is not the notes part, as you can tell. Starting from the very beginning timeline, all and behold, the emergence of SARS-CoV-2 and COVID-19, right, leading into today's pandemic. So that one's obvious, right? And that technically started in like October of last year. It didn't really, publicly, it didn't really come over, stateside until I think it was like late December, early January. Then we had those crazy Australian bushfires, and that went on, I think, for a while. How long was that?
How about that? I don't know.
That was like a couple months or something. I know it was like 30, 40 like million square miles or something. I was reading about earlier this evening. That's crazy. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle quit the royal family. The reason I'm mentioning that, I don't give a rat's ass about the royal family. I never have. But the fact that they quit the royal family, to me, I thought that was pretty impressive, right? That's not something you hear. I thought that was very humbling.
Telling. It seems like it's almost time for it to like just call it. Like they don't really do anything anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've watched. So let me just add 2 seconds. So I don't know if you watched. It's probably not on Netflix anymore, but there's a Princess Diana like documentary in her words, and I mean, I totally get why they quit. She quit the royal family. Like he quit the royal family to protect his wife, right? I mean, he saw what it did to his mom, right? He has a beautiful wife, a beautiful kid, right? So I totally get how they're like, you know what, we're out of here. And I mean, his mom took a lot from the press, right? Just took so much from the press about where she looked, how she dressed, how she didn't look happy or decor and whatnot. And Meghan Markle was gonna have it worse because keep in mind, she's black, right?
Yeah.
And British tabloids are just crazy stupid, especially about the royal family, right?
Yeah, that they are. Yeah,
big ups to him for protecting his family, right?
Yeah.
And like doing what he had to do. And I'm sure it's tough. They're not going to make it easy on him, and a lot of people are not going to like him for it. So, yeah.
Yep. Major kudos to him.
Yeah.
Next one was the impeachment of Donald Trump.
Damn, was that this year?
Yes.
So I mean, I feel like that was anticlimactic. I mean, yeah, he got impeached, but he's not like he didn't finish his term. It's not like
True.
I mean, you know, all those headlines for that. Let's like we should impeach him. We should do this and that. And
yeah,
he finished. He's still president. He's still
okay. There's impeachment, and then there's like removal from our office, right? Mm-hmm. So Bill Clinton got impeached, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't removed from office.
Right.
So we all knew that he wasn't going to remove from office because the conservative majority wanted to keep him there, right?
Because he's Teflon Don.
Huh?
Because he's Teflon Don.
Yeah, I mean, want to be Teflon Don at least. No, but like they tried to, like a lot of the Democrats wanted to like move forward with impeachments much earlier into his like term, and Nancy Pelosi and more of the senior Democrats were like, no, they're just going to save him anyway, until he just went so far where it's like, you know what, we have to do it. So, yeah. I can't believe that was this year. Man, this has been a long year.
It has been a long year. It's been like 10 years in 1 year. 2020 was its own decade.
I feel, it's like it took forever. Yeah. Like, it's just so much happened. And like now that we're at the end, you actually take a chance, you take a minute to look back over everything. Like, I feel like there's more headlines in this year than there have been.
Wait until I get through the rest of this. All right. So next one, Harvey Weinstein verdict leading to the Me Too movement. I swear to God, I thought that was like a year or 2 years ago.
When was this? What
you know what? No. Yeah. So he got brought up on charges a while ago, but the verdict just
right. There's the verdict. The verdict that led to it. To the Me Too.
When was the verdict?
Let's see.
I hope he was guilty.
Well, I mean, I remember
February 24th.
Okay, I think you missed an important one. I think you missed Kobe Bryant's death, which happened in January.
No, I realize that not all these are in clear chronological order, so my bad on that. I tried to get it. I made the effort.
Take better notes.
Shut up.
Omar was our note taker.
Lifetime PC right? Lifetime project coordinator, apparently. I'm never gonna move on from that. All right. Stock market crash. This was on March 9th. So in a single day, it dropped over 2,000 points, and it was 7.3%. It's crazy. Hey, they said that was the biggest single day drop in the Dow Jones history.
Wow.
Emergence of the Black Lives Matter protests. And that's just under the name of Black Lives Matter. Remember the rumors of Kim Jong-un's death?
I remember that.
Yeah.
That went on for what? Like, surprisingly went on for a while. I mean, you would think a rumor that big would have been dispelled immediately, but it took I think it was like a week or two.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
Is that he made the rumor so he could see who was loyal to him and who would try to take power. Right? Like, that's kind of the rumor.
Interesting. I wouldn't put it. Really I wouldn't put it past him to do something like that.
He faked his death so he could see who was loyal and who wasn't.
Wow.
I mean, I know they blew that up, but I was just like, it's just what's going to change in North Korea after he dies? It doesn't he already have? Isn't already somebody else in line?
Well,
I think it was supposed to be his. Well, I think it was supposed to be his sister. I think that's who they were talking about. Yeah. So next one was no, sorry, you go on.
No, so I'm assuming like she has the same viewpoints as him. Like he's pretty much just like more of the same, right? I mean,
well, I think what it was, I think, is that they were thinking one of the generals might try to usurp any kind of dictatorship.
Damn.
But like as you were saying, Nicholas, the sister was kind of, when it happened, the sister was kind of consolidating everything, and she was like loyal. So Kim Jong-un has knocked off family members. Like he's.
Oh really?
Yeah, he's knocked off family members before.
It's crazy. That happened in Saudi Arabia too, actually.
Yes.
A couple years ago.
Yeah.
It was like 5 years ago.
Brother-in-law or half-brother that was killed in like somewhere before. So yeah.
You talking about Saudi Arabia?
Was it Saudi Arabia? I'm not
well,
sure.
I know there was an instance, I think it was around 2015 or something, where like the royal family, there was basically like this blood feud that was going on. And I vaguely remember it was like they sent like a helicopter to assassinate one of like the distant royal family members because they were like, it was just like, it's crazy because there's always, no, this was in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, so, but we're talking to different things. In North Korea, right, Kim Jong-un killed some of his, like, his own family members. Yeah, Saudi, KSA, those guys, yeah, there was a whole consolidation of power there with, like, the current crown prince and, like, his father just making sure none of the other princes, like, had any say-so. So, yeah.
It's crazy, man. All right, so next one is murder hornets. You remember those?
So yeah.
They are, remember how big of a deal people were making that? So that started in Washington State.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was just, I knew it at that time. I knew that was just ridiculous fear mongering. And that never went anywhere. Media is ruthless. Next one is
I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely like following some of that, like, oh, they don't end up here. Like I was a little bit. I
was for like a week. And then it was just like, all right, it's not really going anywhere.
Like after Kobe's death and the bushfires, and this was like this week and this month and then this month and then this month. That's kind of felt like that for like a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was rough. But yeah, go ahead.
The Beirut explosion. That was a big one.
That's
right.
It's crazy.
Man.
Yeah,
I am shocked that nobody died, and I think the government.
No, there were a lot of people that died.
Were there? I don't remember the actual deaths.
Now, let me look at the exact number. Beirut explosion deaths. There were.
Did they say what the cause of that explosion was?
Yeah, so 204 deaths, and there was 6,500 injuries. So the cause was actually that. Without taking this into a really long topic, long story short, it was an old like fireworks factory or something, and it was like this old Russian like ship that was parked there, and they were, I think, something, long story short, for some years they were trying to get that ship to move. It was like a hazard, this like Russian commercial ship or something. And I don't know, man. Sahid, you're nodding. I think you might know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. So so what happened was that they pretty much mishandled like explosive material for years.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Years and years and years, to the point where it just exploded, right? That was crazy. It looked like there was like a bomb. Nothing. Essentially, it was, and the result of that was like the whole Beirut government like resigned.
Holy crap!
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
So like a lot of they resigned. So I think they had a good government in place. That's one of the many things that just happened this year that we just couldn't follow fully. So I don't know.
There was a lot of news this year. It was hard to follow everything. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
All right, next one was a really, really big one. A lot of people actually didn't know about. It was a creation of the Targeted podcast.
Hey, that's probably the one that went under the radar for real, man. Everybody, you should have been there. You should have been there for the first episode.
I was there for the first one. It was the second or third one.
You missed the GOAT debate, man. That was a good one.
Yeah, anyway, next one. Kamala Harris chosen as the Democratic vice president, making history as the first female, Black, and Asian vice president. So that's I mean, that just speaks for itself. In a year that was plagued with major headlines with African Americans and other minorities, just getting like on camera ruthlessly murdered. Seeing that come up in the same year, I mean, that's wow.
Yeah.
Next one is sorry,
Nicholas representing HBCUs right there.
Oh yeah. You want to show that off? You want to show that off again?
Huge moment. Yeah, I mean, she might have went to Howard, but I'm still. That's what it is. Right here. Respect to Howard, though. All respect to Howard. All respect to all HBCUs.
I do want to add, Kamala was like my first pick for presidency, just because I felt everyone else was just too old.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, Joe Biden's what, like 4?
He's 77. Right? Joe Biden is older than all the previous presidents.
Wow. I did not know that.
Older than Obama, he's older than Bush. Like the only other president he's not older than a previous president was Jimmy Carter, and he's like 90. So, and it's like 95.
He's
holy crap, dude.
Just saying, like he's up there in age. You know?
And I'll tell you, man, like my dad is almost Biden's age, right? My dad is 75.
Yeah.
And he is not in the condition to be able to run a whole country, let alone, you know, the richest country in the world.
Yeah. No, yeah, Joe Biden is 78 years old. Like this, it's kind of one of those things where, like, I don't know, you're not into sports, Omar, but like you have like a coach that's really, really old, and they're not really actually coaching, but everyone else around them is coaching, right?
Yep.
That's kind of how they feel like Joe Biden is. Like, and I think a lot of people are kind of making jokes about, well, they're really just gonna like push him over, and they're gonna have like the young, attractive, black vice president take over. And I'm like, I see that happening actually. So I don't know. I wish for his health. I really do. But like,
yeah, he might be older, but I really don't think, and he's been in the world for too long. Like, I don't think that guy's any type of pushover at all.
No, I don't think he will be.
So you can say like, oh, I mean, I know we joke about his age or whatever, like, but at the same time, I mean, that guy probably will run circles around us. We get stressed. I'll speak for myself anyway. I get stressed out at my little job, having to do, several assignments at once or something like that, or turn in these deliverables. But they have way more.
That's true, man. That's a good point, and a lot of that is mental too.
But do you have secretaries and aides and also bodymen and also?
Well, I used to have a project coordinator, but
that project coordinator went on to do bigger and better things. Then again, I mean, like the podcast. As soon as halfway through that sentence, I'm like, oh crap, I know it's coming. Right. I'm not a project coordinator anymore. No offense to the project coordinators that may be watching this. All right, next topic. There was West Coast wildfires that began. I don't even know what you said, but I'm not gonna stop and ask you to repeat yourself. West Coast wildfires that began mid-August.
That's why every year they get worse. Like, I'm not even sure if it's worth living in California. Like,
I know. I mean, they have a terrible economy. The fires there. I mean, it's so sad. It was such a beautiful country, man. I went there when 20.
California is a beautiful country.
Yes, the state. Last time
I say country? Yeah, I meant state. I went there 26 years ago, and I remember every detail of it, like, clearly. Right, my family, we flew into San Francisco and drove all the way down to San Diego, across the border into Tijuana, and in between San Diego and San Francisco, we made all these stops like Monterey, Santa Barbara, LA. It's a beautiful country again. It's a beautiful state. Beautiful.
Is that when y'all first arrived from Pakistan, or?
Dude, what you're talking about? Okay. Don't know.
He says he's born in Jersey, but I think
I hear no Jersey accent at all. I hear no Jersey accent.
No, I was in California a couple of years ago. Well, actually, I was there, I think 2 years ago for my cousin's wedding.
Did you need a visa to go there?
No. And I was there for my younger brother's graduation, and both times I was there were like wildfires going on. Like, go figure, right? Fun fact about California: they're the 13th largest economy in the world.
Wow, that's insane. Wow. That is insane. Failing economy as well. All right, so after that, Joe Biden won the presidential election. As we all know.
Still, I don't know.
I know we already talked about that. So my last bullet point, right, is that was last month. So this month, so despite a lot of the stuff that I mentioned, a lot of that was just a lot of negativity, right? Not really negativity, a lot of negative events. and it has been a really tough year for all of us. And I think it's just really nice that by the end of the year we can now wrap up, saying that we now have a COVID-19 vaccine. In our last episode, if you haven't seen it yet, watch episode 7, I think it was, our very last one. We talk about COVID-19, our thoughts on the vaccine. And so before, I think what happens is when a lot of people start, anytime there's some really big accomplishment, unfortunately, the credit goes to like the president, right? I liked Obama, but I would not have given Obama credit for it. So I just don't want it to seem biased that, when I say Trump is in no way responsible for this vaccine. And I think right now, I want to say thanks to all the people in the world. The people who really get the credit for that they deserve is the scientists that share data with each other and collaborated together in a way that's probably never been done before in like human history. No borders, no nothing. It was just a global group of scientists just sharing data, to try and come up with this vaccine for humanity. And we did that in under a year. That's insane. Something that should have taken several years. Yeah.
6 months, like about 6 months.
That's crazy.
And I think it's interesting because a lot of people, we don't give science its due, right? People kind of will see this nerdy and whatnot. People think the world is flat, won't wear a mask, whatever, until like, the global pandemic comes and you're like, see, how many, like a couple years ago, wasn't like the bubonic plague, not the bubonic plague, but like
Ebola or something.
No.
Ebola.
Was it measles?
Swine flu.
Measles. No, so measles was actually on the riots because a lot of people weren't getting their vaccines shot. And they're at it again, right? Like it kind of blows my mind how people want to get or achieve herd immunity, right? They kind of heard the term from Sweden, thinks like, oh, we should just let everyone get sick with like the virus and we'll have herd immunity and we'll be
people
done.
Don't really
in the world, right?
Yeah, people don't really want herd immunity, in my opinion. People don't really want it. They just want to take the easy way out. They want to get lazy, and they just want the issue to fix itself, even though it's been proven that herd immunity does not work with COVID.
Well, I'll say this: herd immunity will be achieved when there's a vaccine, right? That's how herd immunity works. But mind you, there's actually a new strain that just came out that actually made landfall.
2 new strains, yeah.
2 new strains. So
yeah,
I mean, this news could be different by tomorrow.
Exactly.
And those new strains are more contagious too.
Exactly.
At least one of them is. I don't know about the other one, but.
So a guy from Colorado caught the new strain, and he didn't travel anywhere. He wasn't in the news or anything.
Wow. Yep. Yeah, I wasn't aware it was stateside already. Yeah. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
I just got that news update like 20 minutes ago. So.
That's crazy. But you know what, though? At least, I mean, in my opinion, who's not a scientist, right? I always refer back to my sister. That's the scientist, right? The infectious diseases genius. That's at least we have a vaccine out now. And even though these are other strains, I would like to think of the current vaccine as a much better starting spot than, not having anything, 6 months or 10 months ago or whatever. And I think it's really important that we all recognize, anyone that's watching this, that we are ending off the year on a positive note. Whether you took no precautions this year, whether you took all of them, whether no matter what your situations were, the fact that a vaccine was developed, in record-breaking time was just absolutely amazing. I think it's just really important for people to focus on that.
Yeah, with very minimal side effects as well, right? I think we talked in the last episode too. There's been a couple people that's gotten Bell's palsy, and that's when like one of like the side of your face gets
which is temporary also, right?
Yeah, which is temporary and is something that can be fixed, right, with steroids. So, but I want to kind of brush back on the point too. We have a vaccine. This herd immunity that we're kind of talking about. To truly achieve it, we need at least 80% of the population to be vaccinated. And I was just reading the news that we are, as America, we are behind.
Is that the actual statistic? 80% to achieve herd immunity?
80% to achieve herd immunity, right? For whatever strain that this vaccine helps us get to, right? Like, so again, we need a lot for all you people that are whining about, oh, these do herd immunity and like, let's just catch the vaccine. Well, here's the safest way to get it, right? To train your body to do it. Get a vaccine when it's available to you, right? So
yeah, no, for sure. I think it's really important, especially as our last episode for this year, that we get it, you know, that we recognize all the lives that have been lost. You know, a couple of weeks ago, last I checked the numbers, you know, we're over 300,000 deaths. That's more than a World Trade Center bombing every single day of the year. That's scary. And, you know, think about, you know, 9/11, every year we give a moment of silence. 20 years later, 19 years later, right? So just to put that number in perspective. But also, you know, people like, you know, other big names and celebrities and stuff that impacted all of us, you know, in many different ways. So I just wanted to recognize a bunch of names. John Lewis, first and foremost. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Chadwick Boseman. Kobe Bryant. Sean Connery. John Fletcher, aka Ecstasy Houdini. Tommy Lister, aka Debo. David Prowse, the original Darth Vader. Jeremy Bulloch, the original Boba Fett. Alex Trebek from The Price is Right. I mean, just really cool. I never really watched it, but, you know, it was always on in my house. So I grew up with hearing him around me. Regis Philbin, same thing, right? From Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And I think he was on another talk show too with Kelly something, I think. Regis and Kelly.
Right? Kelly Ripa.
Yeah. Van Halen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ian Holm from Lord of the Rings. He was the old guy, the Bilbo Baggins.
He died?
Yeah. They didn't give him a lot of coverage. He died, I think it was sometime in the summer.
From what? From COVID?
I don't think it was COVID. He was just really old. I think that's what it was. Jerry Stiller from Seinfeld. He was the I think he was like the older guy, the grandpa. What's his Kramer's dad? I think that's what it was. Yeah. Irfan Khan from Life of Pi and Slumdog Millionaire. He was also, you know, a huge Bollywood superstar. You know, that was sad. That was from COVID. Author Mary Higgins.
Was he
Sorry?
COVID? I thought it was like from cancer.
You know what? I thought it was from COVID. I could be wrong. No, you're right. It was cancer. God, it's hard to keep track, man. It's sad. There's so many big names this year. Yeah. Author Mary Higgins Clark. Yeah, I mean, so many big names. That's why I didn't mention these, you know, during the timeline for the year. But, you know, I also want to make sure we mention all of our friends and families, you know, the 300,000 fellow countrymen I talked about who succumbed to COVID. And then want to make sure I highlight these next few folks, even though these aren't like celebrities or anything, but their names shouldn't be forgotten. And, you know, these were a few among many people that were senselessly killed by police this year. Rayshard Brooks, 27 years old, Atlanta, Georgia. Daniel Prude, 41 years old, Rochester, New York. George Floyd, 46 years old, Minneapolis, Minnesota. And Breonna Taylor, 26 years old, Louisville, Kentucky. You know, I mean, these are, you know, I don't want to, you know, we talked about a lot of these folks already in, you know, in our previous episodes. But, you know, I think as we end out the year, you know, it's important that, you know, we don't turn our frustrations into violence. I think we turn that into, you know, a more like an educated and well thought out response. And how are we going to do things better as a community next year?
Little news on Breonna Taylor, so I just saw news on this recently as well. One of the officers that actually apparently forged that no-knock warrant that eventually got killed, right? Okay. There are some discrepancies with it, but he's getting fired, right? So there are a couple of people that are in that case that are getting fired. Not going to jail. I don't know how far they're going to take this.
Yeah.
But there has been some violence in that case.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Yeah. I know they have their own processes and specific rules that they have to follow in order before they can, go straight to, certain things. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It was tough reading those names out loud, as it was different, just kind of, writing it, but saying them out loud. I mean, that was just.
And all those guys that we mentioned too probably can get their own like if we're doing an episode, we can probably do their own episode.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like at least some of like the civil rights legends that you mentioned, like John Lewis, Ruth Baker Ginsburg, right, have been kind of pillars and are a big reason why we're here today. That we're at the platform. And I think it's up to us to kind of uphold their legacy a little bit, right? So, like the person that was nominated to replace Ruth Baker Ginsburg is not going to do that, right? That's just.
Yeah, it's sad, but I do think that it's important that, kind of going back to what I said also, right, is that we take a lot of what we've learned from this year, and we're actually about to get into this section as well, right? We talk about our lessons learned individually from the three of us for 2020, but we take our lessons learned and we use that as knowledge to make a better future. I mean, one thing that these folks from the civil rights era, the civil rights movement era, they had the unity amongst them. And I think that's what, we're starting to see is there. It's starting to come back out again, the Black Lives Matter movement. And by default, I'm not Black, right? But I'm a part of that, and that's as representative of, of the American minority. And I think that's just something that everyone needs to understand as we all come together and, we're all in this together, Black, white, purple, pink, yellow, whatever colors, I don't know, but whatever part of the world and whatever colors you ascribe to or whatever it is, right? We should all be in this together.
Yeah, well done. Very well done.
Yeah, I could have only done it, if I had this written out like I did. So
give it a little more organized.
No, good, man. Good stuff.
I didn't have everything written out. Most of what I said was not actually written. Give myself a little pat on the back. No, I'm just messing.